Imagine you could speak to the Mr. Men. You pick up the phone, call them, and ask them to tell their stories, the real, actual Mr. Men. Are you the real Mr. Tickle?
Just call me Tickle.
But what if the tales they told weren't what you expected? Not the cheerful adventures wrapped up in neat little morals designed for the under-10s.
Mr. Happy controlled everything.
I was in love.
Let me tell you about the worms.
Don't come back here.
We all knew something was terribly wrong.
Miss Summersoul was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Instead, you uncover something far more tangled. A web of mistrust, broken friendships, festering grudges, and the rise and fall of those consumed by power and control. And yet, somehow, this all unfolds in a world without true violence, without swearing, without the darker horrors of adulthood. Forget what you thought you knew. These are the Mr. Men and Little Miss, as you've never heard them before. This is Little White Books, a fictional documentary drama inspired by the work of Roger and Adam Hargreaves. This series is completely unofficial, unlicensed, and for some, unwelcome. But made for you with skill, care, and a deep respect for this iconic British cornerstone of children's literature. Now, let's begin with a tickle.
Get this camera on.
I just want to begin by thanking you for agreeing to do this interview. Can we just start with a bit of background info?
Yeah, of course. My name is Mr. Tickle. Just call me Tickle. I guess the name's pretty self-explanatory. I love tickling.
Fantastic, thank you. Can I ask you now about your earliest memories?
I remember the sun was barely up, and I stretched out my long orange spaghetti-like arms ready for the day. I could feel the excitement building in my fingertips as I wandered through town, just tickling anyone I could find. No one was safe from the giggles or the tickles that day.
So, were you aware that it was your first day? That yesterday you didn't exist?
No, not really. No, I was doing my thing, you know. And then one day, this little white book dropped through my letterbox. I just stared at it for a moment. And seeing myself in those colourful pages, all perfectly drawn, it felt like someone was watching. It was kind of weird, like they knew everything about me before I even did.
So, was there other Mr. Men that you were aware of?
No, not at all. But then a few weeks later, this new book came, and it was Mr. Greedy's book. It was very nice, same sort of thing. Greedy ate lots. Met a giant, ate the giant's food because that's the sort of thing he does, and then lost some weight at the end, so he was less greedy, which again, absolutely fine.
And then after that, then would have been Mr. Happy, yeah?
Yeah. Bit different, that one, because of course it was a 2-for-1 kind of deal. Mr. Happy meets Mr. Miserable with quote-unquote hilarious consequences.
Did you think it was hilarious?
No. I thought it was a bit weird. But I liked Mr. Bump's book, and I think Mr. Topsy-Turvy's book was brilliantly funny and clever. It reminded me of how I upset humans sometimes.
So having learnt about these others, did you want to meet them? Because they were like you?
Well, not that much like me, but yes, they were Mr. Men, and I was glad that there were others.
Mr. Greedy, Happy Nosey Seas, Mr. Bump, Mr. Snow, Mr. Messy, Turtle Jesse, Topsy Turvy, Mr. Turvy, Mr. Silly, Snooty Small, Mr. Daydream, and Mr. Strong.
To understand the world of the Mr. Men, I spoke to as many of them as possible. This podcast includes material from those interviews, along with other contributions and recordings. Next, I spoke to Mr. Nosey, though he seemed far more interested in questioning me than answering any of the questions I had for him.
Hi,
How did you get on? Did he talk?
It went very well. I've recorded lots of really great material.
I don't care how much material you have. I care about the truth. You could fill an entire episode with stories, but that's nothing if they're all made up.
I didn't get the impression he was lying. Discreet, maybe. But he spoke quite freely. How about you? Are you ready to speak to me?
Who are you interviewing next?
I was hoping to interview everyone in order, so it would be Greedy next.
You'll be lucky to get an interview.
Oh, why do you think that is?
Lots of reasons. Here, when you spoke to Tickle, did you see anything behind him, in view?
No. What should I have been looking for?
He's still meant to be in exile in the North Pole. Did you see a window with snow outside?
No, I don't think so. What do you mean, exile? What was his crime?
Complicity. He's always looked away.
Don't be nosy, Mr. Nosey. Take your time, don't be too cozy. Dig for truth.
As new Mr. Men books were published, new faces appeared in their world. Every few years, a fresh wave of newcomers would arrive, usually a dozen or so at a time, and with them came their own books, so everyone else could learn who they were. For the Mr. Men, these little white books weren't just stories, they were truth, like Holy Scripture, unchallenged, unquestioned. They were treated with the utmost respect because, like a kind of census, they held key details. What land they came from, what made them who they were. But I soon found out none of it was that simple. With each new wave, the world itself had to shift to make room. And the little white books? Well, they quickly became a source of argument all on their own.
Come on, have you even done your research?
That's Mr. Grumpy. He wasn't around at the start, but his blunt take on things turned out to be very useful.
I'm happy to talk, but you should have got one of first wave, Mr. Men, mate. I'm third wave.
That's absolutely fine. I just wanted to ask you about your book.
Aye, we got those little white books. They form our history. You could say they told us someone new, one of us, was in the world. But we had no idea where they came from, or why, and... yeah, it didn't sit right with me.
But your own book, what did you think?
Yeah, I didn't like the idea everyone else was going to read it and think that they knew me, but I got no say in the matter.
Now, your book shows you with both Mr. Happy and Mr. Tickle. Did you become friends with them at that point?
Did I? Hell, let me tell you this, right? Whenever a new Mr. Men appears, Happy is straight there, alright, summing you up and deciding if you are worth recruiting or whatever. That guy was a snake.
Oh, I'm quite surprised to hear you say that. What do you suppose he thought of you?
Oh, I'm no fool. I saw through his big happy smile and sunshine complexion, but I'm no done with the wee books, right? Those books showed us all living in isolation. It felt like we were being lied to, but everyone knew everybody else, even back then before Mr. Land.
The world of the Mr. Men was full of magic and mystery, and every answer only seemed to lead to more questions. Curious about the so-called waves, I sought out someone who was magical himself. He wasn't keen to discuss his own abilities, but he was more than happy to shed some light on how new Mr. Men arrived over the years. This is Mr. Snow.
We called them waves of books, but the meaning changed to become waves of people. I was among the first 14. For years we were alone, then 12 more arrived. At first it wasn't a them and us problem. We studied the new books, hoping to understand ourselves better. But by then we'd built friendships, held parties, helped each other, visited Nonsense Land. The books never mentioned that. We all wondered who wrote them and why.
What was missed out?
They left out friendships. I spend time with Sneeze. We have dinner, play Monopoly. There are Mr. Men we don't like, some who never speak. None of that is in the books. They don't even mention Mr. Land.
Do you know why not?
They're just children books. If they were for grown-ups, they'd acknowledge the bad things, like losing a friend forever.
Hi, Tickle. I've heard a lot of negative things about Happy. What did you think of him?
I understand why he fell out with people over the years. He's made a few tough choices that, they haven't worked out. But I think he did mean well in the long term.
Tickle time. Mr. Tickle is here. Mr. Tickle is here.
So I've spoken to Mr. Nosey, and he seems to think you had some kind of secret meeting with Happy. Does that sound correct?
Yes, but if he followed me all that way and sat behind me on the plane, why not just say hello? He could have been my first friend. Why the secrecy?
Why did you go to Happyland rather than meet someone closer?
Mr. Happy seemed like the best choice. And who wouldn't want to go to Happyland, although Nonsense Land was a close second.
Why did you need to fly there? Wasn't it walking distance?
The world was very different back then. It was my first time on a plane, so I remember it vividly. Oh, the temptation to reach out and tickle the pilot every time he glanced back at me. Outside, the clouds stretched for miles, and it felt like Happyland was on the edge of the world, far away from everything I knew.
Tell me about the meeting.
Happy could see me, because up until then, I'd been invisible. It's kind of glossed over in the book, isn't it? But Happy actually invited me to tickle him. He welcomed it and loved it. And that made me so happy. But yeah, there was something off. His smile didn't quite reach his eyes. He was different from the rest of us. We went to his house, and as we were drinking, we were just having a cup of tea, and I couldn't help but ask, "Where's Mr. Miserable?" The moment I said it, the air in the room just thickened. The tension, you could cut it with a knife. Mr. Happy's smile faltered for just a second.
Did he avoid the question?
But that was enough. I knew then whatever had happened, it wasn't good.
Those first wave people have this unwritten bond to look out for each other over anyone else.
This is Miss Wise. She reflects on events from long before her time, passed down through stories, plus her own experiences of Mr. Happy in what would eventually become Mr. Land.
I don't think he's ever changed. Mr. Men don't change. He has tricked, manipulated, and lied to most of us here.
Once you take a trip to Happyland, you can never leave, no matter how far you go. You can never go.
Don't forget, I'm 6th wave, and I was nearly part of the purge, which he engineered. When it was decided who would go and who would stay, Happy came to my rescue, so that I would always be his friend and never say anything bad about him ever again.
Sorry, if you don't mind, I'd rather not go into that bit of the story just yet. Can we talk more broadly? When you say broken loyalties, who do you think he betrayed?
Surely, Tickle, but I don't know the details. But have you spoken to Mr. Strong? How about Mr. Small? Ask him about Mr. Daydream.
From interviews I've done, I've heard some pretty dark stories. Why do you think there's nothing mentioned in the books?
Because they're children's books. Hey kids, this is how you spell tickle. Now let's talk about the role of media bias in changing attitudes to fascism.
Wow, isn't that putting it a bit strongly?
Listen, Happy failed to become leader, so he cast doubt on everyone. So who are you gonna trust? He pretended to be someone else to win back that trust himself. He then created a class system that elevates him and his friends while pushing the lowest class into poverty. Those who oppose him are made to work in lethal conditions. Look at the photographs of Topsy-Turvy Land. That wasn't an archaeology dig. It was a forced labor work camp.
I'm really struggling here. How can they be children's books and yet censor what really happened to you all?
This is what I'm saying. To many, the Little White Books were everything. Our story, our history, and the foundation on which everything we believed was built. And he weaponized them. He made some books more important than others. Books just didn't arrive. and nor did Mr. Men. That's why I think this has been going on since the very beginning.
Does that mean you think he had some kind of control over the books? Could he have helped write them, maybe?
I'm saying, go right back to the beginning. Read again Mr. Happy's own book, and ask yourself, why wasn't there a Mr. Miserable book? What was in it? And who would benefit from that story not being published?
Here I'm talking to Mr. Nosey again, and I'm picking up on his account of when Tickle went to Happy Land to meet Happy. We got talking about how, like with Miss Wise, stories were passed down, and how their meaning twisted or faded a little more each time they were retold.
It really annoys me how history becomes memory to some. I could write a story that said, say, I went in a hot air balloon, and guaranteed someone would say to me, oh, I remember that. This is exactly why you need to do a proper job of this.
Oh, absolutely. Before you ask me another question, can we go back to that first meeting in Happy Land?
I saw it. I was there. I'd followed Mr. Tickle, undetected, all the way to Happy Land. These two are getting on really well, and then Mr. Happy starts crying. I think they were real tears, but who knows. Anyway, Tickle was there for him, gave him a big hug with his long arms, and they sat there for a while, long enough for me to get in closer.
So what did you hear?
I'm right there, almost over their shoulders, again, completely undetected. And I hear Mr. Happy say, I think I killed someone. And then he goes on to talk about how Mr. Miserable's book never appeared. It might have been Mr. Tickle's first meeting with a Mr. Man, but not Mr. Happy's.
No, he was completely upfront about the Mr. Miserable situation. He was worried that it could happen again. It weighed really heavily on him. I don't know what Nosey thought he heard, but it wasn't a confession of murder. If anything, it was an accident. I think he never really got over it. He was worried I would disappear too.
I knew, as long as I kept his secret, then he would do whatever I told him to.
Did you attempt to blackmail him?
I just said to him, wouldn't it be a shame if you heard that the person you're about to meet can make Mr. Men disappear?
In this episode of Little White Books, Chris Hirst-Bartlett played Tickle, Benjamin Goff was Mr. Nosey, Jordan Wistuba as Grumpy, Mr. Snow was performed by Flute the Voice, and Miss Wise was played by Autumn Rose.
I'm a happy man with a secret plan. Oh, yeah. Got a twist of my credit and danger in my hand. Every lie I tell, I'm smiling bright. Yeah, yeah.
This production is unofficial and not connected to, approved by, or licensed by the rights holders of the Mr. Men and Little Miss characters. Mr. Men and Little Miss are trademarks of THOIP, a Sanrio company. All rights to the original characters and stories belong to them. You'll also hear versions of the theme song All Friends Together throughout the series. The original was written by Dave Cooke.
And finally, though this podcast is completely unofficial, we want to say this clearly. If you want to support us, then simply go and buy Mr. Men books, for yourself or for someone else. We live in the era of ebooks, and the decline in children's literacy is now a major problem across the world, so you can help by taking a child to a proper bookshop. Don't cheat by getting a box set from Amazon. Let them choose their first book. Then go back the next week and get another. The experience of choosing their own stories helps children value books and fall in love with reading for themselves, not just for their teachers. And who knows, one day they might even make something like this.